talk some football. Vegas oddmakers currently have Baltimore as 9.5-point underdogs against New England in the AFC Championship game. So we were thinking about it, and we want to know, do you give Baltimore a shot to beat New England on Sunday? And Skip, I'll start with you.
Stephen A. Smith, as you know all too well, because I keep reminding you, I did pick the New England Patriots to win the Super Bowl back in August. But I must admit to you right here, right now, I am dumbfounded that my Patriots are 9.5-point favorites over the Baltimore Ravens, who did everything but beat them in last year's AFC Championship game on this very same field, over the same Ravens that did beat them early in the regular season this year, over the same Ravens who, as 9-point underdogs, just went and beat Peyton Manning at Peyton Manning. Seriously? 9.5 points? I'll be the first to admit to you, I'm scared to death over this, Stephen A., because I can make a case right here, right now, that with Ray Lewis back leading and spearheading that defense is a little better than New England's defense is right now. It has come back together. And I will remind you and remind myself, Matt Schaub's offense Sunday night at New England, I know a lot of garbage time involved, but it had 425 total yards. And I can make a case right here, right now, that on just pure weapons, without Gronkowski at Brady's disposal, I think Joe Flacco has better weapons than Tom Brady. Anquan and Torrey Smith and Jacoby Jones and Dennis Pitta and Ed Dixon and, need I say, Ray Rice. More weapons than Brady has. So I think Vegas is basically saying this comes down to Tom Brady at home is way better than, as I call him, Fluco. And I'll agree he's significantly better, but 9.5 points better over a Flacco, and I will call him by his right name, who did outplay Tom Brady in the championship game last year. He outplayed Tom Brady this regular season in September, and he just outplayed Peyton Manning in a big playoff game at Denver. Are you kidding me? So that 9.5 number, Stephen A., you could not give Ray Lewis better bulletin board material, which is why I'm getting very nervous about this game.
Well, you should get very nervous because I think that Baltimore has a legitimate shot at winning this game, and it's something that we'll get into as the week progresses and definitely make our picks on Friday. But I think it's important that you recognize why Vegas is picking New England as a 9.5-point underdog. Everything rises and, it shines and sets with Tom Brady. Your guy, the guy you love so much. And so you have to remember that everybody is assuming who's going to outplay Tom Brady in 2 consecutive AFC Championship games. The fact that Joe Flacco had such a performance in last year's AFC Championship game, to the point where Tom Brady publicly acknowledged that he was outplayed, that basically he could have played better. I mean, to the point where he almost looked, I think he looked Kraft in the face, the owner, and said, I'll do better in the Super Bowl. I'll do my best. Because he was acknowledging that he didn't put forth the greatest performance in last year's AFC Championship game. So if you're an odds maker, if you're a bettor, if you're somebody in Vegas, your mentality is that there's no way that I'm going to bet against Tom Brady in terms of him being outplayed by this dude twice. With all of that being said, however, I think there's no way to ignore the fact that Baltimore has a legitimate shot at winning this game. I mean, when you look at Jacoby Jones, when you look at Torrey Smith, when you look at Anquan Boldin, when you look at the fact that Ray Rice is fresh off a 131-yard rushing game on 30 carries. See, all of these things are very significant from this standpoint. It would be one thing if Flacco was just flinging the ball all over the place, Skip, and you were riding that wave. What's happening is Jim Caldwell now is your offensive coordinator since you let go of Cam Cameron. And what has happened? Ray Rice is touching the ball more. And anytime Ray Rice is touching the ball more, which is what all the football aficionados advise, what transpires is the Baltimore Ravens seem to be a bit more successful. Not to mention the fact that it's not an accident nor a coincidence that as Ray Rice touches the ball more, the defense tends to improve a bit more. Number one, because they're not on the field as much. They're not as exposed as much. There's more ball control kicking in for the Baltimore Ravens, as a result, they're a bit fresh. And that's without taking into account the return of Ray Lewis, the reemergence of a Terrell Suggs along with that. So the fact that you've got all of that going on, it seems like they've got their mojo. There's no question that cerebrally they can hang with Brady just like they can hang with Peyton. It's just a matter if those aging bodies on the defensive side of the ball can really mess with the New England Patriots and what they can throw at you offensively. It's debatable right now. The fact that it is debatable leads me to side with you and say there's no way on earth they should be a 9.5-point favorite over the Baltimore Ravens. But at the same time, again, it's about Tom Brady to those odds makers. And what they're counting on is that Tom Brady is going to play lights out because he's playing against virtually the same defense that he played against in last year's AFC Championship game and earlier this year when you felt the Ravens, the New England Patriots got jobs. Their thing is Tom Brady, or whatever, it did not, but Tom Brady will be ready. That's what they're saying. That's where the 9.5-point underdog favorites come from. I don't agree with it, but I understand it.
Okay, again, to me, the odds makers are saying we don't buy Joe Flacco. I still don't buy Joe Flacco. But Stephen A., I got to step back and give credit where it's due. Joe Flacco has now won 5 road playoff games. That's tied for best all time with Eli Manning and Roger Staubach. I can't take that away from him. Do I believe in him? Do I trust him? Do I think he's capable of a big fluko game? I do. And I don't trust him. But in this case, how much confidence do you think Joe Flacco, who can be underconfident, gained 1 year ago in Foxborough in outplaying Tom Brady? I think enormous confidence. Don't you think he's going back in with pretty high belief in himself that he probably didn't have about 1 year ago at this time when, remember, Ed Reed criticized him off the win in Houston in the previous playoff round?
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying to you, Skip, is but I don't know if that's a great thing. I think that Flacco has played at his best when he's been under duress because of all the skepticism and cynicism aimed at him due to his lack of production by people like me, yourself, and so many others out there watching the Baltimore Ravens. It's when we have expected something from him. It's when we have said that Flacco has arrived. It's when we have said it's all right to put the ball in his hands. He's the one that's going to take the Baltimore Ravens to the promised land as opposed to Ray Rice or somebody else. That's when he's come up short. So the fact that elevated level of expectations have been placed on him by you and others leaves me reason to pause. The fact that he's a 9.5-point underdog is something that I like for Baltimore because I especially like that for Flacco. I think that's when he performs at his best.
All of which is why I now proclaim Joe Flacco elite. That's what he wants to be called. He's elite to me. Wow. I want the expectations to rise through the week for Flacko.
Wow.
I want to feel enormous pressure.
Hold it. So in other words, you're saying you're rooting for him to lose.
Well, sure I am.
Is that
I'm
fair?
picking the Patriots. What do you think? I'm not afraid of Flacco, but I'm afraid of Ray Lewis. I can tell you that.
All right, well, speaking of the Ravens and their elite quarterback, as Skip just said, John Fox had Peyton Manning take a knee